So there's this thing that I have to acknowledge because it has driven me batshit crazy since my mother died. And I'm just going to say it. What is up, you heathens and demons, you sinners and saints, you beautiful, blasphemous bastards. Welcome back to the Raging Atheist. We are deep inside Season 2 of Content for the Godless. And oh, my godless friends, are we going to be delving into some shit? And why not start right here and right now? If the Christian God is true, then my God-believing mother, who has been dead for several years now, is in hell. And more than likely, your loved ones are too. Oh shit, I just broke the internet. Maybe, anyway, maybe. Because, when I bring this topic up in real life, even so-called, quote-unquote, moderate Christians get their panties all up into a bunch. No one likes to even consider this notion that what is said in the Bible would be true if the God of Abraham is indeed real. At least it could be true. You still have that whole imperfect man thing, not to mention the devil going around fucking with all the shits. Okay, so let me unpack this. Last night, I'm having a fairly deep conversation on the afterlife with a coworker, a young woman that has always expressed interest in at least talking the deeper issues. And I am going on about, if the Christian God is true, my mother would be roasting in hell even as I spoke. Well, I hadn't noticed that at some point we were no longer alone in the room we were in, but an old employee had come in to get a drink and was sitting in our area, the place employees gather after we slow down. A place where we can rest and a place where we can talk. Now, this person is what I would call a normie. Now, a normie to me is a Christian that lives their life how they want, doesn't go to church nor read the Bible, but for some reason thinks they are a Christian. And that's this person, and that's most people I know in real life. Oh, and did I mention this person is gay? A role that matters not in a discussion at all, unless that discussion is about a God that condemns the very person for being that. Well, this former employee didn't like what I was saying. Not only that, but she didn't understand a word of what I was saying. Now, I should preface, she knew my mother, liked and loved my mother, so her reaction was genuine and in response to what she thought she was hearing. But with this topic, people choose not to hear you. They hear what they want. And we got into this big argument about me saying that my mother was looking up at me from hell, which I didn't say. I don't believe in hell, and I surely don't think my mother is being tortured with eternal burning. At one point, she even told me you can be a Christian and not follow Jesus. That's kind of off what I'm talking about right now, but that's just like where this conversation went and the level and extent of her knowledge. And I was like, what the fuck? So I get into what the Bible says, particularly what Jesus himself says when it comes to adultery and sleeping with anyone outside of your first marriage. And the point of my argument is this, Christians say they believe in a thing, but then give every indication that they don't believe in it truly. And I first realized this when my mother died. It was at her funeral, watching as all my Christian family members wept and mourned like it was the end of the world. It wasn't. It was just another human passing away, something that happens many times every single day. And I was crushed. I was going to miss her. She was my mom. But I understood that even though it happened early in her life, far too early in her life, this is what happens to human beings. But every single one of those family members thinks that my mother went to heaven. And in fact, if you haven't noticed, it is actually rare when someone is at a funeral and they think that their family member or their loved one is going to hell. It happens. I mean, sometimes there's just no denying the wrong that a human has done. But most times, it seems Christians think almost all of them get to go to heaven. Again, I am talking about what I call quote-unquote normie Christians, not the folk I talk to here on YouTube. So how can this be? I don't see anywhere in the Bible that tells me all I have to do is believe and I get to go to heaven. From a Christian perspective, I am supposed to be born again into belief, and then I am to try to be like Christ. If I am genuine in that endeavor, Jesus might reward me with an everlasting life. But the Bible is very clear. Very few will be this pure, and very few will make it into the kingdom of God.
Being a Christian is not just saying, I'm a Christian. It's actually abiding by the principles of what being a Christian is supposed to be about. You just can't do whatever you want and say whatever you want and call people talking about and say F words and all that. And then you say, I'm a Christian. I don't want to wear a mask. I don't want to help my fellow person. I don't want to do unto others. I don't want to save other people's lives, but I'm a Christian. Come on, man. Really?
I loved my mother. She was a good mom that did the best she could in a world that was cruel and unforgiving. And so did many people. Many people loved my mother. She was a beast of a woman that wouldn't take any shit from anyone. Strong, independent, a leader, and in hell, if the Bible is true. Because while my mother believed, she didn't live it. Alcoholism and failing to overcome it right up until the moment she died. Sex out of wedlock. Smoking and drinking, defiling the third temple, cursing, fighting. All of these things are known by all that actually knew my mom. Everyone. And what about all the things I or anyone else doesn't know? The things that only this God would know, if it exists. By all accounts, from what I have read in this atrocious holy book, my mother would be in hell, not heaven. Yet all the Christians that know her automatically put her in heaven and almost at saint level. She was a very strong woman that had a very strong impact on people. This doesn't surprise me, but it does show that inwardly, they don't believe in this Yahweh. They don't think that this Yahweh actually exists. They naturally use it as a feel-good tool, while subconsciously recognizing that this was the end for my mother. No second life, not really. Only words of such, mixed in with the grief of losing that person. Here on YouTube, with Christians that actually read the Bible, study doctrine, it is a different thing. Christians here have condemned my mother to hell without ever knowing the details of her demise, without knowing her. Most likely they condemn her because they can't stand me, but they understand that not everyone gets to go to heaven. And while talking to them can be infuriating, at least they keep to the belief. Normies don't. And I find them to actually be more frustrating. They believe while knowing very little, have no interest in reading or doing the necessary research to understand the godhood they profess belief in. They truly have an irrational belief. They believe just because they believe, and that is it, and that is all. And anyone that comes with something different, something outside their scope of belief, these normies will automatically go into defense mode because they understand they are not equipped to defend the things that are coming out of their mouth. This puts them farther against that irrational wall, and instead of looking at it rationally, maybe questioning some of the beliefs they can't justify themselves, they attack you because you had long since done such things. Now, I hold no ill feelings towards this person, and it turned out to be a pretty ugly argument. A very ugly argument. We hugged and made up. She came to me and apologized first, which I found to be very big of her. I mean, I was still really hot. I was mad. I was angry. I truly feel that when any Christian finds out I'm an atheist, and this person has known, but maybe like the first time she really heard me talking it, they discriminate against me without even knowing it. And since I've been way out in the open with it for over 4 years now, this has built up. And not to mention that I am alone in my grief. I know my mom is dead, gone forever, and I know I will never see her again. And never have I had anyone I could tell this to, except you, the faithful viewer. And I have to be silent when anyone speaks of her, because it is always with her looking down from heaven. You know, if I were to just butt in and say, well, actually, I would be the asshole. But when the theist does it, well, they're just being a theist. Everyone talks of the progressive Christian and how they are more tolerant. And hell, I have said these things because they are true. They are more tolerant and can justify themselves reasons to be more humanist than a fundy can. But they are equally as dangerous because they don't know why they believe. They just believe. And any threat to that must be pushed out of sight so they can continue just believing what they believe. I find this to be dangerous and more frustrating than even a Smokey saint. At least with Smokey, he will sit there and yell with you, understanding why he believes, willing to defend it. Normies, as I call them, won't. I want to thank you for watching the video. If you liked it, hit that thumbs up, subscribe, share me on your social media, comment in the comment section below. Hit that bell so you're notified every single time I put out a new video or every single time I have a new live stream. And if you'd like to support the channel, this channel is viewer funded. My links are in the description. And my patrons are the bomb. You guys are the shit. Patreon is growing slowly, and I never do anything there, but I do have plans, and I've been saying this for a while, and it's going to be implemented very soon. I'm going to start talking just to you guys, because your support means everything to me, and I'm not just going to be talking to you guys, but you're going to have streams that's going to be just for patrons. You're going to have videos that's going to be just for patrons, and I'm also thinking of some other things, because you guys have stood with me through it all. You support me, and I appreciate you. And I'll see everybody soon.